7 weekends down. Dugouts, Dumbbells, and Dingers are back. Schassburger and David Kahn. It is spring break. I'm coming from home. Kahn's back at the office. I've got a child in a room about 40 feet away from me or less, and I'm going to try and put her on the back burner and talk a little bit of baseball. I will come to the office a little bit later on, Kahn. I will make an appearance, but we're off the Easter weekend. We have teams like Arkansas who continues to roll. Teams like LSU that continue to move in the wrong direction, especially after a loss on a Monday night to Southern, which should never happen. You muster up just 4 hits, and now LSU has lost 6 of 7 games. We'll see how that compares to some of their recent struggles in previous seasons. And two, we have the Final Four set for men's and women's basketball. So there's got to be a tie-in to baseball and maybe softball a little bit. We will talk about that. UConn, Alabama, Purdue State on the men's side, South Carolina State, Iowa, and UConn for the women's side. So, David, welcome. I know you don't celebrate Easter, but how was your weekend? It's good to see you, my man.
Yeah, it's good to see you too. I do not celebrate Easter, but that's okay. I still actually participated in a late Easter brunch at our house with a few people, so that was fun. We said a fond farewell to our guy Luke Hallett, our third roommate. He's back in Indianapolis.
I saw him yesterday.
Yeah, he gone.
I saw him Monday though. He's gone now.
He left yesterday. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
He was talking to the big man. He had a private meeting.
Oh,
are you not aware of this?
No.
Oh, I saw him go upstairs and get into the big man's office. I'm like, I wonder what they're getting down to.
Well, there you go. I did see him dressed when he left. He was in a polo and slacks, so I figured it was something important. So that's probably why.
He's trying to look good. I thought the same thing when I saw him crawling across the lobby floor. I'm like, this man looks like he's dressed to impress. And it's just like slacks and a tucked-in polo, but, a slightly different look of our guy. So.
Not the attire you would wear if you were driving 9 hours back to Indiana. So I was like, that's interesting. But he did leave. He went back home.
I prefer no attire when you make those kind of drives.
Birthday suit?
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, so we said a fond farewell to him. It was a good weekend. Enjoyed some celebrations of a couple other birthdays on Saturday with some of our mutual friends as well. So that was a lot of fun. And now we're back ready. We're locked in as basketball winds down. Baseball continues to blossom. And we had a lot of good, we had a lot of ugly, and we had a lot of what the fuck happen in baseball this past weekend. So we're going to talk about all of it because there was some weird that went down this weekend.
Yeah, Power 10, dudes, hat tips, SDAs, we got it all. Kahn and I are here over the next hour to discuss. Let's start with the Final Four angle, though, because Alabama is in the Final Four for the first time ever on the men's hardwood. On the women's side, all these teams have been there before. So, but Alabama is the one team amongst all of those that are remaining, 4 on the men's side, the 4 on the women's side, that have never been in this spot. So I thought, this would, while I'm not a historian by any means, okay? So at me, if you've got something to say it to my face, all right? I was a young kid in the 90s. I misremember what I ate yesterday, okay? Like, don't get on me. If you got something to say, don't go to my podcast partner. You come to me, all right? And if you don't, I know you're scared, okay? Because you don't want to face me face to face, all right? But that's beside the point. What I'm getting at is let's provide a little bit historical context on the baseball side for some teams that we think are knocking on the door. And we talk about this year in and year out. We bring it up, a couple of occasions, like your ECU and your DBU, 2 teams of the low major or mid-major ranks that have yet to break through and get to Omaha, baseball's grandest stage. Those 2 are on that list. So are there anybody else? Can there be an Alabama on the college baseball diamond this season, Kahn? Who might be most well-positioned at this point as we're more than a third of the way through the year?
I think there's a couple, and they're actually pretty well-known program names. One is Kentucky, who's really surged right now. They've never made it to Omaha, and they've won 12 of their last 13, coming off a road series sweep at Ole Miss. So Kentucky's certainly on that list of teams that have never made it to the College World Series that could break through, now in the top 25 in the 20s. And Virginia Tech, just 2 years ago, they were a win away from going to Omaha for the first time, and then Oklahoma beat them in their own super regional in Blacksburg and went on to the College World Series finals. But the Hokies have won 7 straight series this year, 4 straight ACC wins. They took the series from Pitt with some small ball over the weekend. We'll get into that in the Power 10. But those 2 for sure. And then also you have to mention UCF because they're now into the top 25 at 25, according to D1 Baseball. And they've never made it to Omaha. So those 3 I'd have to add to the ECUs and the DBUs of the world for teams that have not crossed the threshold, but could this season.
last time we had the same university make the Men's College World Series and Women's College World Series in the same year, last year, right?
Yeah, pretty common.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we actually got
Tennessee and
pretty
Stanford.
and we've gotten pretty close a couple of times. You didn't have to dig too far back to see when, maybe either a baseball or a softball team got very close to winning in the same year on both baseball and softball, because we know Oklahoma got very close just a couple of years ago in 2022. We know the rampage that the Sooner softball team has been on for quite some time. But let's not forget Ole Miss when they won the Natty just a couple of years ago. That was over Oklahoma. We also had Florida with a couple of close calls in baseball. I think when the Gators won their first national title in 2017, I think Florida was runner-up, is what I saw in softball. And North Carolina had a couple of near misses in 05, 06, 07. They had those back-to-back runner-up years, and basketball was maybe 1 year removed from there. So that's never happened. It's also never happened where well, let's see. Let me walk that back. Women's basketball and baseball we had just last year, because you had LSU win it on the women's hardwood and on the diamond. So
we've had the mix. We've never had similar diamond sports win it, though.
Correct. Yeah. Correct. Never has the same diamond sport program. For example, if LSU winning the national championship last year, LSU softball would have had to have won it for this. That's never happened. It's never happened at the same time. So, but there are some schools, ECU bounced back after a rough weekend at UTSA a couple of weeks ago. They had a 4-0 week. DBU continuing to soar up the rankings. What are they now, Con? 10? Is it 10?
8. Number 8.
They're number 8 on my Power 10 as well. So, Dan Hefner and them boys and Patriots. I read a nice article. The pitcher, is it Ben Johnson? I saw it at D1Baseball.com last week. Let me pull it up. I don't want to misspeak. This dude has a herky jerk delivery. It's really unique. He's a righty.
I love herky
jerk. He kind of lunges forward. It's almost like he doesn't allow himself, Ryan Johnson, to really get all of his weight behind and allow for a big stride. He kind of it's kind of like a jab. Like he's punching with his right hand as he cocks back. But this dude has been as efficient as anyone around the country. Ryan Johnson, 1.65 ERA. 0.84 whip. He's 5-0, 7 games started, 49 pitches. He has struck out 73 in 49, and he has walked just 8, allowed 11 runs, 9 earned, opponents hitting 193. I mean, this guy, and he's got glasses. He's a very unique character on the mound, doing big things for DBU. So I think we might have to put in a request. Next week are we going 2 times a week starting next week?
I think we're still. Are we going 2? Because there's going to be a wrap up men's basketball and women's basketball pod. So probably in 2 weeks. Yeah,
2 weeks from now. But maybe
we'll have to discuss with Lord Hartzell about that.
Yeah, we'll discuss with Lord Hartzell. But it might be worth putting a call into Dan.
Nice.
Might be worth putting a call into Dan Hefner. Get him on the program. That might be.
I'm not opposed to that at all. I like that a lot. We can't get Grant Knipp. He's still hurt.
Yeah, he's dealing with a nip injury. So but I am curious about DBU, the university in and of itself too. Just this small, tiny, off the grid, type universe, barely probably qualify. And I'm probably insulting someone, but barely qualifies as university in our own minds, in 99% of the world's minds. And it's just there. It's just hanging out. And baseball, they live and die and breathe baseball every single day. And to get certain dudes to come to DBU for that kind of a college environment, college atmosphere, the lack of, a big campus and all of those things to come in and bowl out. It's just, I'd be curious, what those conversations are like. Certainly it's gotten easier over time because Hefner has built himself, quite the power, absent that trip to Omaha. So we'll see if that changes. Still plenty of baseball to be played. You bring up Kentucky though. How about Kentucky in the sweep Ole Miss? They went going away on Easter Sunday. You got to feel for the Rebs. They're at home. You're at Swayze. It's Easter Sunday, and you get whipped 15-1. Nick Mingione, a small ball kind of dude, goes 15-1 on you to get out of Swayze at Oxford with a sweep on Easter Sunday. Kentucky is 8-1 in the SEC. Only Arkansas, by my count, I think matches that 8-1 star. We'll get to the Hawks. But Kentucky owns the only road sweep in the SEC this year.
Yeah, they do, and they scored 31 runs to do it on the road. That's really hard to do. And like you said, Nick Mingione, we've always known him as this small ball guy, not a guy who produces a ton of runs. But look at Kentucky. Like, look what they did on the road in an SEC matchup. Like you said, the first road sweep of the year for the SEC. And, Arkansas almost had that against Auburn when you were on the call a couple weeks back. But they've won 12 of 13. I mean, Kentucky is surging right now. What are they right now? They are 17th in the rankings, and they're 24-4. They just jumped up 7 spots in the D1 baseball top 25 this week. So they're catching fire at the right time, while some teams like LSU and Ole Miss are kind of having a downtrot right now. Now, I will say this about LSU. They've had a tough schedule. So, you don't just go into Fayetteville and beat the Hogs. Like that rarely happens. So you don't expect to get swept if you're LSU with the caliber of talent that you have, but Arkansas is on another level this year, and everybody knows it.
Yeah, so Kentucky is continuing to soar. One note just to close the loop on the Final Four discussion and teams in baseball that maybe haven't been in a while. I don't think you mentioned this, but you did have a note in the doc. South Carolina, no appearances since 2012. Clemson hasn't made it since 10. Nebraska, 05. Alabama, 99. Duke in 61. Wake had that lengthy one, going back to 55 until
55.
Yeah, until they showed up last year. And speaking of teams that are soaring and climbing in the rankings, Kahn, I think you owe someone an apology because you've been ragging on these guys for the last couple. You don't? The Nebraska Cornhuskers. Can you give them their corn? Can you please give them their corn?
Who have they beaten? Who? Their best win, according to the Diamond Sports ranking, is against South Alabama, who is 54th in the RPI. That's their best win of the year. No. Congratulations for beating Northwestern. Good job. There's my props. They haven't beaten anybody. I would love to have a Big Ten team be good and actually matter, because it hasn't happened since Michigan made it all the way to the College World Series finals and lost to Vanderbilt. I don't have the ability to tell Nebraska phenomenal job yet. They haven't beaten anybody. Their lone ranked game was against Oklahoma, and they lost.
David,
they have opening season tournament.
They have more road wins than anybody in the country. Okay.
They
have more road wins than anyone.
Who? Against who? They're supposed to win those games. The teams they're playing are not good.
They took 2 out of 3 at Grand Canyon. It's not your brother's Grand Canyon.
No.
Let's see. College of Charleston. They took
not
3
good.
out of what could have been 4 games.
Sure.
South Alabama, 3 of 4.
Okay.
Wichita State, a split in the midweek.
77th in the RPI.
Let's see. They got
College
Nichols
of Charleston, 101.
I'll tell you what.
298. I mean, just go down the line. I did this morning. I want to be able to give Nebraska their goodwill. I want to say you're a good team that I legitimately think can make some noise and go to Omaha. I can't do it yet. They haven't played anybody. And I don't know if they are, because they play in the Big Ten, which is considerably one of the softest conferences in college baseball.
But they don't have any bad losses. They're 17-0 against teams with an RPI of 50 or worse. I mean, they haven't screwed up at all. I mean, they're just taking care of business. They're there, okay? They're not losing games. The Florida Gators lose every single midweek game. I'm not docking them. But if a team is going to win every game they're supposed to win, okay, they deserve some street cred. And Nebraska tonight against Omaha at Charles Schwab Field, at the Schwabby. They're expecting 10,000 people on a Tuesday night.
Wow.
Those are 2 20-win teams at Charles Schwab.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. Omaha is the 298th ranked RPI team in the country.
Not Omaha.
They better not. They better not lose that game.
No, they're playing
Creighton.
Creighton. They're playing Creighton in Omaha.
Okay. Well, that's their hardest opponent of the season. Creighton's 39th in the RPI.
Yeah.
So good. Win that game.
And Nebraska's already beaten Omaha. Guess what? 11-5. I know it doesn't matter. But
fantastic. No, listen. I would love to give Nebraska their props. I know that they have done what they've needed to do. They're 20-5. They're perfect in the conference. They've won 10-0. They're 9-1 at home. They're 10-2 on the road. I've looked at all the stuff. I can't give a team props more than just saying, congratulations, you've done what you're supposed to do. Because there's other teams that have exceeded expectations so far this year, like a DBU that we're talking about that's 8th in the country, like a Virginia Tech, like Oregon State. Clemson didn't see what they were going to do coming at the start of the year. So I'm not going to give Nebraska all the praise in the world for doing what they're supposed to do, It's great for them that they're continuing to win these games, but they're supposed to win these games. So I don't have the ability to be like, whoa. Now, if they start blowing the doors off of everybody in the Big Ten, we'll have a different conversation. But they didn't blow the doors off Northwestern. They had to win in 10 innings on Sunday to even sweep the series. So we'll see what happens.
But they're winning games they're supposed to, and I think that should count for something. When teams all around them, when there's chaos, especially when you look in the rankings 10 on down, maybe 14 on down, as much, interchangeable pieces that there are. I mean, Kentucky is soaring. You see Irvine from the mid-major ranks at a 4-0 week. They're 22-3. They check in at 16. ECU's ahead of them at number 12. DBU, we talked about, they're at 8. But then it's all power boys. It's all power players. So to see a team, an obscure team like Nebraska, sneak in, get it on the back end because they have no bad losses and are, 19-0, 16-0 against teams with an RPI of 50 or worse, and have more road wins than anybody else in the country, for them to sneak in and get awarded at least with a number 24 next to their name, like, good on the committee, good on D1 baseball, NCAA, for at least recognizing what they've done. And, look, nobody's crowning them national champion or Big Ten champion, but I think in a ranking system where we actually don't, I think we've seen more fluctuation this year than we have in the last 3 or 4 years. And maybe you can correct me. I don't think we have the data behind it, but I get the sense that we've had more ups and downs, more ebbs and flows, even at the top, with the exception being the last 3-4 weeks with Arkansas, again, being in that number 1 position. But we saw Wake get, debunked from that position early on. And then we've seen a lot of fluidity from, spots 4 through 15 and even throughout the rest of the rankings. Whereas, in past years, I get the sense the rankings weren't penalizing teams as frequently and moving them. But it's hard to know outside of, your Arkansas, your Clemson, your Oregon State. I'll throw Florida in there, even though they don't know to win a midweek game, and Texas A&M. And it's hard to know beyond that. It can be anybody else behind those top 5.
I'd agree with you, because you look back 2 years ago in the dominant run that Tennessee went on all the way to the Super Regionals before losing to Notre Dame. You look at last year, what LSU did, being the number 1 team to start the year, people going, oh, no way they're going to do it, and they did it. And then this year, Wake started number 1, and what are they now? 21. They're 21st. So they've tumbled out. Perfect example of one of the WTFs from the weekend. Oklahoma started 7-0 in the Big 12. 7-0. They swept TCU in Fort Worth after beating UCF at home. Back-to-back sweeps for UCF or Oklahoma for the first time since 2013 in Big 12 play. And then what happened? They got swept by Lamar. Lamar at home. That can't happen for Oklahoma. Lamar scored 32 runs in the 3-game sweep of the Sooners today, or this past weekend. Terrible. They are now out of the top 25 after starting as the conference darling, because West Virginia went there, kicked their tails in a doubleheader by hitting 5 home runs, and then Lamar comes in there and beats them. Like, ugh. So you're absolutely right. There's a lot of fluctuation going on right now.
Where did you get your picture taken when you were in Norman last week? Delhi?
Tiffany's. Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Breakfast at Tiffany's. Do you think the Lamar broadcaster went to breakfast at Tiffany's and got his picture, and maybe his meal paid for, which led to a sweep? I mean, I don't know what kind of reverse juju might be working there for Lamar.
I don't believe so. Okay. I do not believe. Lamar's close to Norman, isn't it? From just random.
I have no idea where Lamar is. Is it? I think it's
in Beaumont, Texas. Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be like 8 hours, man. Still.
Yeah, I feel like they play Lamar every year. I mean, I bet he probably knows more spots in Norman than I do. I just got recommendations from the Big 12 broadcasters that I texted all of them and said, "Where do I go?"
Are you trying to besmirch Breakfast at Tiffany's and saying it's not good enough for a guy that might go there every single year?
I mean, it's very good, but I'm betting he probably went somewhere else. I don't know.
It should be a stalwart, like Pelham Diner.
Yeah, but Pelham Diner's dead to you.
It is dead to me. You know what else is dead to me? That's a good springboard, good segue. Mark Light Shakes. What are we doing? What are we doing? You're going to ruin the sanctity of a Mark Light Shake by enveloping it in Peeps and just presenting it in a Peeps-like fashion. Peeps is the most worthless type of candy, Easter ensemble, lanyap that you can present, with such a beautiful and grand holiday. Like, what is the purpose of a Peep? Like, get the Peep out of here. That's the only way we should be using Peep. in any sort of sentence structure or delivery at all. Peeps, and you're going to ruin the greatness of a Mark Light Shake by rolling out a Peeps shake. No wonder why you lost the series to Clemson. Serves you right. And you walked off on them on game 1, and then Clemson won another tight game, 3-2, and then I think they won easily, 7-0 in the finale.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You deserve to lose that series. And I don't know if I even care for ever trying a Mark Light Shake or even getting down there anymore, because they've ruined the idea of what Mark Light Shakes represent in my mind forever. And I've had so much Easter candy over the last several days. I've eaten my daughter's candy. I've got my own Easter basket. I've had jelly beans galore. I've had Sour Patch galore. I even had a little bit of chocolate, milk chocolate, like bunny last night before going to sleep, which, by the way, I doubled my sleep overnight last night that I've been getting the last few days. So I feel like a new man. I feel rejuvenated, and I can thank the Easter Bunny for a lot of that. But a Peeps shake just completely sucks all the energy out of my body just thinking about it.
It's terrible, and it was worse than remember when they made that like buffalo shake for Canisius when they were down there in the regional, and we were like, what the hell is that? And there was like celery in it, and it was like, what are we doing? This is worse. Like, I get the idea, but Peeps are horrible. They should be removed from society. I'm in total agreement with you. Have you tried a Peep before?
I'll throw up. I'll vomit.
They taste like nothing. The only thing you taste is the sugar coating the outside. You know what they should be used for? They look like little, ducks or whatever. Put them in the damn bath and let the kids play with them. That's what they're better for than being eaten or put in shakes.
That's fun. My dad is going scorched earth right now on ducks everywhere because he got an in-ground pool installed in his backyard in Katy, Texas, and he's sending me pictures of these ducks that are all of a sudden making his new pool their home.
I love it. Let's go.
Are you a cotton candy guy?
Occasionally. I don't like a ton of it because I eat too much and it's like weird in my stomach, but I'll eat it. We go to the fair, the Carolina Classic Fair.
Are they similar? Like a Peeps, I guess, are more hardened. Like I've had it's been a while. It's been over a decade. It might be 2 decades. I'm an old MFer at this point. Okay. I've been called grandpa one too many times in the last couple of months where it's become, part of my dialect. It's who I represent with. But a Peep is more harder and crushed, but isn't it kind of the same texture, just more hardened than what cotton candy is softer and melting in your mouth?
Maybe, no? But I kind of like the cotton candy kind of melting in your mouth a little bit. Like the Peep,
it's different because it's
chewy and you got to rip it.
It's fluffier. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah. So texture-wise, it is different, but in my head, I think of them as the same thing. Like you'll never see me putting any cotton candy in my mouth. I would be more willing because of the fluffiness, perhaps, and that it would kind of just melt away on my tongue. But in my mind, I'm saying a Peep is a hardened, crushed up, like we put it in the molder, and we just, I don't know. I'm thinking of like applying some heat.
I'll give you that.
Yeah,
I can understand that. Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. I got you 100%. Well, I'm glad you had a lot of candy. I'm glad you got a lot of sleep because you have been working mighty hard. You've had some late nights with your Dukies.
Dude, I couldn't even enjoy my Easter. Normally, I don't complain, right? We've been doing this long enough. It's what we've signed up for in life.
Right.
Right. It's my 10th year with Learfield and being held hostage to a team and their schedules. This is the best way we can explain it. We are held hostage to the teams and the programs that we represent. Never a complaint, it never really been a conversation. It's probably part of the reason why I'm divorced as well, because, it was never a conversation. It's like, hey, look, sorry, I can't make the graduation or the baptism or this or that, or somebody's getting married. Hey, I got a game, it's my job, and I would never, would never be a discussion. Now I'm a little bit more older, I'm getting up there again. I'm old, as fuck. And, there were some things on Easter I was looking forward to being able to enjoy. I actually had 2 separate Easter functions with the girlfriend that I was invited to meet 2 separate sides of her family. And I'm like, well, hell, with Duke playing now, which we didn't know until Friday night if they won or lost, but surely I can make it to one of them. It's either the lunch or the dinner. Surely I can at least get one. And if they lose, I can go to both. But whatever. I'll get at least some Easter food, a nice family setting, can enjoy the holiday for everything it's supposed to be. Because I haven't had a lot of that in my life, with holidays and families and that sort of thing. So lo and behold, what's our tip time on Sunday? Freaking 5 o'clock. What's our airtime? 4 o'clock. What time do I got to be there? 3. Is it worth me driving 45 minutes away for a 1 o'clock lunch to be able to have to leave right after eating? No. So I don't get any Easter. I miss out on both functions. So, but But
Jeez.
for the brand, for the shield, for the Iron Duke D and Learfield. And then we get our freaking asses handed to us by DJ Burns and company.
Oh, my God.
What the hell is going on with college basketball? It is drunk.
Dude, history has been made. I mean, NC State men made the Final Four for the first time since 1983. The women for the first time since, 99, right? 98, 99? Like, crazy.
Dude.
Like, history made.
Dude, and I'm not watching I have the game on TV, like I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but for our listeners, when we're on a board or we're in studio and we're producing and we're providing pregame stuff, halftime, postgame, in-game, like we're producing, we are the production truck. In television, you've got a production truck, you've got all these different cameras, these people, these bodies, producers, directors, all of that. In radio, it's me and it's David Kahn. It's one person doing everything. Yep. And we are there in the studio in the central hub in the brain of where all of this radio magic originates from in Winston-Salem on 540 Trade Northwest Street, Winston-Salem 27101. Right. North Carolina, come on, raise up, take your shirt off and spin it around like a helicopter. Con doesn't know that song, by the way, but that's Petey Pablo. Nope. That's Petey Pablo, who is neighbors with my girlfriend's sister out in the Raleigh-Cary area. Yes. All right. Very cool. I look forward to meeting him one day. Yes. Anyways, so you're doing all of these things. I'm not glued or seeing what's happening on TV, and I might glance up and see it just for reference. So what DJ Burns was doing and the takeover mode and the tear that he was on, 21 of his 29 points coming in the second half, shooting 9 of 11 from the floor, better than Duke as a team percentage-wise, who was 11 of 33. Are you freaking kidding me? But the difficulty level that DJ was hitting these shots and the okey doke freak show that he was on the court in real time in the flesh, and Ian Ingles seeing the highlights afterwards, banger after banger after banger. I'm like, yes, this dude is single-handedly destroying us, and no wonder why he's become such a legendary icon of this tournament for people that only parachute in to watch college basketball this time of the year, and even those that don't even parachute in have been pulled in by the star and charisma of one DJ Burns. And that's the beauty of the tournament.
It is, and it's crazy to think about because DJ Burns is 6'9", 275.
He does not look like a well-oiled machine or athletic individual, but the man is freaking nimble and light on his feet, and he's a pass-first big man, and he has enough kind of just shrug of the shoulders in him to just go out and do the damn thing. And it's been amazing and so fun to watch these last couple of weeks for sure.
It really has. And congratulations, NC State. I know it's at the hands of your Duke Blue Devils, but the story's been cool. The state's kind of come alive behind NC State, which has just been fun to watch. I mean, you had North Carolina, NC State, and Duke all in the tournament. But to see the state kind of rally around NC State, there's watch parties locally in Winston-Salem for NC State basketball. Like, what? Like, dude, Joymongers is hosting watch parties for NC State in Winston-Salem. That doesn't happen ever.
Oh, shit. Well, Donnie, my best friend from Chicago, the firefighter, is in town visiting. Maybe we hit up one of these watch parties on Saturday night.
Well, there you go.
Might have to make a pass through one of these bad boys. Yeah, I saw a guy in an NC State basketball jersey Sunday when I was stopping at the Harris Teeter, to get an energy drink and some fruit. By the way, I just spent $5 for a little individual size thing of fruit. Is that what the going rate is for fruit these days? $5 for mixed fruit?
Yep. That's why I don't buy fresh fruit. I buy frozen fruit.
Dude, it is hard in them streets, bro. Like, I can't do this anymore.
Fresh fruit is the worst thing you can buy unless you're going to eat a full container every day. Because as soon as you buy it, it's going bad in 24 hours. So you got to shovel that thing in your mouth as soon as you get home, or you're done for. Like, I used to buy berries, like strawberries, blueberries, blackberries all the time, and they would go bad within a day or two. So I only buy apples and then frozen fruit. That's it, because apples stay okay longer than the berries that I used to buy. Now, I don't know about like melon or honeydew or whatever the stuff that I know you eat sometimes, but like that's my experience.
Well, this was one of the little mixed, like had cantaloupe, had pineapple, had watermelon in there. This wasn't like, okay, I'm buying a whole thing of blueberries or blackberries in the fresh fruit section. This was like one of those kind of like a mutt, like a smorgasbord of just cut up fruit that was all put in there, and they're selling it for freaking $4.99. It's like, dude, I might as well just go buy the whole watermelon, right? Like, let me just go buy the whole watermelon, but then I got to cut it up at the office and all these. It's just not convenient, right? So they're taking advantage of us trying to take the easy way out and get some cut up fruit. And it's like, come on, dude. Like, it makes no sense. Anyways, there's an NC State guy in there in a jersey. and shorts combo. I thought he was going to, roll the ball out there at the teeter and start trying to put on like a dunking expo or something and, do his best DJ Burns impression. But the man was hyped. He had a 12er of Bud Light, and he was ready to go. Okay.
We've been talking about history, by the way, Shass. And
this turned into a basketball podcast. So, yeah, put us back on.
It did. Yeah, we're going to put you back on track. So, remember last week when we were talking about what West Virginia did before they left Norman? They went to the Oklahoma City bombing site.
Yes.
And we talked about the fact that I didn't know what it was. But
apparently I don't either.
Yeah, apparently you misremembered what happened, or specifically who did who committed the Oklahoma City bombing.
I blame Netflix.
And listen, this is not my doing. I did not notice this, but our man Cabell Philpott alerted me to this discretion and said I had to play this clip to show you the wrongdoing that you committed last week when you mentioned this. Which I don't know if you know about what happened in Oklahoma City in 1995. I did not. I had no clue.
You had no record. Yeah, you're a baby.
Nope. I was less than 1 year old when this happened.
Okay.
April 19th, 1995.
I recall the footage on the television. I mean, I was 6-7 years old, but I recall how big and significant of a moment in history that was. The Unabomber.
Wasn't the Unabomber.
No.
The guy who committed the Oklahoma City bombing's name is Timothy McVeigh. By the way, the Unabomber is not Timothy McVeigh.
Come on. The Unabomber started in Chicago, but it was around the same. It was around the same.
Time.
Okay?
Yeah,
I was 7-8 years old. Cut the guy, not even. All right, cut me some slack. I'm just misremembering tragedies of our country's past.
Ted Kaczynski, by the way, is the Unabomber. Just FYI.
Yes, and I blame Netflix because they put out these dramatized features and specials, and if you subscribe too deeply to them, you can cross your wires as well intellectually. Yeah. So,
but just to clear the slate, 1995 was when Kaczynski sent that letter to the Times promising he would desist from terrorism if they published his manifesto.
Desist? Is that a word?
Yeah, like stop.
Wow.
Stop being a terrorist.
That's Okay.
Yeah. So different person, similar time frame, but just wanted to.
I thought you were saying you had like you had a medical issue, like a cyst you had to get removed or something. Desist.
No, desist. That's DYST. This is DESIST.
Oh.
Totally.
Look, never have I claimed to be a historian. Okay. In fact, I kind of pride myself on misremembering things.
You did.
And I don't do it intentionally. It just happens,
Yeah.
I like
you shoot from the hip. You shoot from the hip.
Yeah.
As soon as you think you got it, you go.
I like to speak before I think. Okay.
Yeah.
I need a T-shirt that says that. Speak before you think.
That's got to be out there somewhere. I'll find it.
Speak before you think. I found a shirt in my bottom drawer. I might wear it today because I only got maybe a couple more weeks of it. It says "Beard Lives Matter."
Oh, I've seen you wear that shirt.
Yeah, save them, don't shave them. And I haven't worn that.
You're gonna not follow that.
Yeah, it's been a couple years. It's been a few years since I've worn that thing though. I gotta bust it back out. So it'll make an appearance this week. Charlie Condon is doing things that I feel like we have never seen before we get to our Power 10. And I know you got a thought on the Pac-12 that we need to bring up too. There's a lot. We came prepared today, folks. We came prepared, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, yeah.
Charlie Condon has hit more home runs. And Mike Monaco, you shared this tweet with me prior to the weekend. More home runs heading into the weekend than I think it was 81 teams. Right now, it's 78 teams. He's got more home runs than 78 Division I teams. He's got 19 bombs. He's got 40 RBIs. He's hitting .505. Was Dylan Cruz numbers this good at this point in the year last year? Because I feel like we can be quick to dismiss what Dylan Cruz gave us last year. I know the home runs weren't necessarily there, so I think that puts what Charlie Condon is doing on in a different stratosphere. But I do want to tell people to show some pause in terms of knighting Condon, becoming prisoner of the moment, because this is masterful stuff he is doing. But I just want to remind folks, hey, we've had a couple of individual, just like when we talk about Hagen Smith and Paul Skeens, like Skeens was on a whole nother level. And I know people are wanting to go to the well and say, oh, Hagen's looking like Paul Skeens. No, he's close, but it's still different. But I will say, Con, that what Charlie Condon is doing, man, this is something that we all should take notice on, and just instead of trying to compare him to pass superstars and what we've seen and, how unprecedented this might be, let's just enjoy the freaking moment, man, because this dude is a stud.
He is. And here's the thing. So Condon right now is hitting above 500. He leads the country in average slugging, homers, and OPS. And I think the average numbers for Dylan Cruz were above 500 at this time. And we had that conversation of like, won't he finish above 500? And he didn't. He still had a phenomenal year. But yeah, let's enjoy it. Like Condon, I just ran the numbers in the on pace calculator that I use. He's only projected to hit, 38, 42 homers. And that's if Georgia goes all the way to the College World Series and wins it. Which like still gargantuan numbers for sure. But like, let's just enjoy the fact that we have a guy who came in second in the right. He was runner up to Ethan Petrie last year in the SEC Freshman of the Year voting. Correct? Am I remembering that right, or did he win?
I'm pretty sure Condon won it.
Okay. Well, anyways, he won the SEC Freshman of the Year last year, and now he's just destroyed what he already did. Like you have so many of these guys that you think of like they can have one outstanding year, and then they just kind of hit a plateau, and that's it. And you just kind of watch them keep the course. Condon said, nah, screw that. I'm going to blow last year out of the water. And so far he is. 19 homers, 40 RBIs in 20 games. He's hitting 505, I think is his average right now. His slugging's insane. His OPS is otherworldly. So yeah, I agree with you. Let's not compare this to other players in years past because every season is different. This Georgia team is vastly different. They have a brand new head coach for starters. And I love watching Condon play. Like he was so good against Tennessee. I know Georgia lost the series, but he had 2 homers against the Vols on Saturday and went 5 for 6. I mean, the guy is hitting everybody. There's no one that can really contain Condon over a full weekend.
Made me think too of, especially with opening weekend for Major League Baseball and this past weekend, and Wyatt Langford making the opening day roster for the Rangers. Just how sick is that? Because Wyatt and Condon, Charlie and Wyatt have a lot of similarities in terms of their body types, the way they play, the way they produce. Wyatt, to think a year ago he was playing in an SEC series against Auburn, I think it was how the calendar lined up, and a guy who missed, I won't say significant time. I think he came back much more quickly than what we had initially thought when he got his nut tapped by a freaking ball. Okay, he had his sack ripped or tethered or however you want to describe it.
Bad,
he took one to the Netherlands, okay, that put him on the shelf for a few weeks and really should have been a few more weeks. But the man came back, and he came back with a vengeance, okay? He had a point to prove, okay? And he came out and he proved it. And look at him now.
Yeah.
He's on the Rangers opening day roster. I think he had an RBI in Sunday's game for the Rangers that helped them.
Already stolen base. I mean, he's amazing.
Yeah. He's
and Paul Skeens. What about Paul Skeens' AAA debut? He starts this year at AAA, and he goes 3 perfect with 5 punchies, throwing 102. My God, I mean, that dude's gonna be in the majors before June.
I told you when you shared that with me a few days ago, I'm like, he's not going to make it to whatever that arbitrary period or whatever loophole that clubs try to use and abuse to, get an extra year of player control, whatever it is. I know the Cubs did it with Chris Bryant a few years ago. Whatever that, there's no way you can keep Skeens from getting on your big boy roster before that deadline passes. I mean, he's just too good, too freaking good. I saw this question posed: would LSU be a national champion team without Paul Skeens a year ago? Hell no. Like, why is that even a question?
Of course not. Who asked that?
I think it was 11.7.
Okay, well,
maybe not. I could be making that up, but I saw it. It was in the same circles.
No, the answer is unequivocally no. Paul Skeens was your Friday night ace that you went out there every single Friday night last year and said, we are 1-0 in the series. Without him, you do not win the College World. You might not even make it. I'll be honest. No. You might not even get there.
What team with a Golden Spikes Award winner would not win the College World Series if they didn't
Evan
have
Cops in Arkansas?
Yeah,
I mean,
and they didn't even get out. They didn't even get out Super Regional Weekend. So if you're gonna have the Golden Spikes Award winner and you're gonna win it all, or you're gonna go to Omaha, you wouldn't be getting to Omaha if it weren't for that Golden Spikes Award winner. If you took him off, that's why the award is what it is. It's the most valuable, most important, most significant, most outstanding, every superlative and adjective that you could come up with to describe the level of play that this dude brings to the diamond day in and day out. It's unprecedented, and nobody can hold a candle to him. You remove that person from the equation, yeah, that team is going to be not as good. They're probably going to be significantly less good, okay? So it's not a question. Like, Skeens was on that team. LSU was a bunch of world beaters. Like, they learned valuable lessons at the end of the SEC regular season. They had a couple of bumps, maybe one or two early on. They navigated that. They figured it out. Jay Johnson figured it out. And they had the talent to overcome so many different things.
Injuries, bad starting pitching beyond Paul Skeens.
So,
a lot.
So before we talk about what happened with Pac-12 television, let me ask you the question. LSU baseball this year, will they figure it out?
Yeah, I think so. Look, you brought up a great stat when you were dialed into the Friday night game that they lost to Hagen Smith and the Razorbacks, which, by the way, we got to talk about the fact that Thursday, yes, when LSU actually shifted the way they were going to pitch their rotation to avoid Holman versus Hagen Smith. Now, didn't work out for him, but savvy strategy, and I wonder if we'll continue to see that against Arkansas moving forward. I think LSU will figure it out. The most concerning of their 3 series losses in the SEC, because they lost 2 of 3 to Mississippi State, they lost 2 of 3 to Florida, and they lost all 3 to Arkansas. My most concerning one, honestly, is the Gators one, and it's because it was at home. Yeah. If you're LSU, you have to defend the box. Alex Box Stadium needs to be where you win series. And you won game 1 of that series. And then you go ahead and you lose game 2 in extra innings. And then game 3, you get run ruled. So that's embarrassing. So for me, if LSU can win their home series the rest of the way, then I think they'll be okay. And also, let's think about this. They played Florida, top 10 team in the country. They played Arkansas, number 1 team in the country. They played a surging Mississippi State team at that time. They've played a hard SEC schedule to begin with. That's not saying the rest of the SEC is a cakewalk. They're not. But it's a hard league to win in. And I get they're 2-7, but like a couple years ago, you mentioned they were 2-5, and they still made it to the College World Series, right?
So in 2020, you didn't have to go back far to find this number on LSU on their worst starts in SEC. You won't, because the question was, when was the last time they dropped 3 consecutive SEC series out of the chute, let alone go, 2-7, which is where they're at, as you've outlined. Well, they went 1-8 in 2021, 1-8 start with losses to Mississippi State. They won 1 out of 3, then swept by Tennessee, then swept by Vanderbilt. A 1-8 start. They were 17-11 overall. This was on April 3rd. It's April 2nd. April 3rd, as you listen to this podcast. LSU currently 20-10, 2-7. Mm-hmm. So a tad better. That 21 team, by the way, that started 1-8 out of the chute in the SEC, still made it to the Super Regionals. They won the Eugene Regional. This was the second to last year under Paul Maneri, and then they got swept by Tennessee in the Supers in Knoxville. But 2-7 start in SEC play this year. They've lost 4 straight. They've lost 6 of their last 7. An LSU team that's going to figure it out, man, I would have felt better about them at home against Southern last night, just trying to get right. And you only get 4 hits and you strike out 9 times against a Southern team, which comparatively roster-wise, no disrespect, but of course disrespect going to be taken. That is a JV team going up against a varsity team. That is a Division III NAIA team going up against a Division I team, in a sense. Now, it isn't. So Southern plays out of the SWAC. They're a D1 team, but you understand my point. It's a 1 big lead. It's a team with, so many restrictions or challenges when it comes to fielding a damn roster and having to do so in Baton Rouge. And it's not even a shadow that LSU casts on you. You're playing different sports. It's a different sport you're playing at Southern than what LSU baseball is playing. They win at LSU for the first time since 2005. They got some dude, Hawkins, who went like 3 for 6 with a 3-run homer in the first that set the tone for the entire game. LSU used 8 different arms, which isn't totally, out of the ordinary for a midweek game against a team like Southern. You Johnny Holstaff it, but they were forced to have to roll out the arms that they had to stop the bleeding. You just thought maybe the response would have been better on a Monday night weird spot. Okay, 2, your women's basketball program gets eliminated by Iowa. LSU fans are dealing with that. Then at the same time, they're dealing with the game getting away from them at home at Alex Box Stadium against Southern in the way that it had. Just a bad night all around for the folks on the Bayou. I did want to do some more historical digging on this LSU team because, now we can ask ourselves the questions, whether they get it right or don't. Are they going to get it right enough in a way where they return to the NCAA tournament? Because we're on a 2-year streak here, and LSU could be the third. And it might sound, outrageous to project such a thing.
No.
But what if the Tigers do not make an NCAA regional? So what I wanted to do was go back to 21 Mississippi State wins, give you their numbers at this point in the calendar. 22 Ole Miss wins, gives you their numbers at this point in the calendar a year ago. Each of our last 2 defending national champions, taking LSU out of this equation, have not made the NCAA tournament the following year. So, Are you ready?
Yeah.
So on April, and you can, decipher what you want from this, but Mississippi State in 22, year following winning the College World Series, as of April 3rd, okay, they concluded a series against Arkansas. They won the final game to avoid getting swept. They were 4-5 in SEC play. They were 17-12 overall. So 17-12, Mississippi State, and 4-5 in SEC play at this time 2 years ago off their national championship run. Did not make the tournament. LSU right now 20-10, 2-7. Mm-hmm. Then you have Ole Miss a year ago, 1 year removed, 1 offseason removed from winning the College World Series. Ole Miss lost the rubber game to A&M, so dropped the series to the Aggies. They were 16-11, so 1 game worse in the win column than Mississippi State, and they were 1-8 in SEC play. And they did not make the NCAA tournament, as we know, this past year. They were 1-8. Ole Miss went on to finish last season 25-29, 6-24, just 6 wins in the SEC. I balked at that because we knew they were bad. They're bad enough not to make a regional, but just 6 wins for the defending national champion Ole Miss.
They were buried by injuries, though. You got to remember Hunter Elliott was basically out of the equation, and that was their ace.
They were
imagine Paul Skeens not being hurt and being unable to do anything.
Yeah, 6-24 a year ago. Mississippi State 2 years ago off their College World Series run. They finished 9-21, so just 3 games better. 9-21, 26-30 overall. Both Mississippi State and Ole Miss finished 4 games under 500. And Mississippi State had 9 SEC wins. Ole Miss had 6. Right now, LSU's at 17-11. It's hard to imagine them not finding 13 more wins on the schedule to at least get to 30. But 1-8, more importantly, looking at the SEC schedule, can they get to 15-15?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. So this weekend they host Vanderbilt, who is coming in hot. They took care of business over the weekend against Missouri at Hawkins Field in Nashville. LSU needs to win that series. Point blank. They need to win that series against Vanderbilt. But the biggest series for LSU is in 3 weeks because after that they go to Knoxville against Tennessee. That's going to be a tough one. If they can get one, that's solid. They go to Como April 19th to the 21st at Missouri. LSU needs to win that series. Period. I almost want to say sweep, but I don't ever want to say sweep in a road series. That's really hard, as evidenced by the fact that Kentucky has the first one of the SEC this year. They need to win that series in Missouri. If they don't go to Como and at least take 2 of 3, I think the season is over. Period. For LSU. Because they close after that with Auburn at home, A&M at home, Alabama on the road, and Ole Miss at home. So 3 of their last 4 are at home. Their last 4 SEC series are at home. So they have the opportunity to stack up wins late in the season. But if they don't win the series against Vanderbilt at home and they don't win the series in Como, I don't know if they have the ability to stack enough up, especially because Alabama, good. Auburn, I know they've been shaky, but they're still a really good team that can put up a lot of runs. They put up a lot of runs against arguably what I thought was the best pitching in the entire country in Texas A&M the first month and a half of the season. And then Ole Miss is going to be trying to play spoiler, it looks like, because they're on the downtrot. They're going to be trying to play spoiler for LSU in the final weekend of the regular season. So I think they need to stack up wins now because they're there for the taking in May. But if LSU is too far down the path, I don't know if they can fully climb out of the hole because it's so hard to sweep a series in the SEC.
LSU in that game 1 on Thursday mentioned how many arms they used against Southern. They had 7 arms that they had to go to in game 1 of the series because they decided to duck Hagen Smith, save Luke Holman for Friday night, and it backfired. I don't think it backfired in necessarily the worst of ways. It just kind of avalanched or spiraled and got worse as the game went along. It wasn't like a total disaster. Javen Coleman, who we were very high on last year, coming in off of an injury and kind of getting inserted into that Sunday and then midweek type role, and wondering what kind of length he could give as this LSU team was really building back into form and finding their health going into the offseason. He went 2 1/3, gave up a run. It was earned, struck out 3, 2 walks. And then you need to type this in right now. I know you've seen him, but Fidel Ulloa, I'm trying to make sure I pronounce his name right. Type in Fidel, LSU, Fidel, Ulloa, Ulloa. And if you're following along at home, you know exactly why I'm telling Kahn to type this in. Because holy moly, mother of God, pray for us and that beautiful twisting mustache. Carlton Fisk, Rolly Fingers. Who else you got? I mean,
he needs to be put in one of those old timey black and white movies and put a top hat on him and go.
Yes, it is sensational.
Yes.
And he's got some foreign flavor to him, right? Like he's not. Yep. It just adds kind of to the charm.
He's from Lodi, California, is what it says.
Yeah, but he's got to have his ancestry has to extend, certainly beyond America with that last name.
I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah.
It just, oh God, it's amazing. But he only gave an inning in the third, and the list goes on. Christian Little made an appearance. Gavin Guidry gave up a 3-run homer to Kendall Diggs in that contest that really put game 1 on ice, 7-4 for Arkansas. And Hagen Smith was the only starting pitcher of record all weekend. Mason Molina gave 5, Brady Taggart a little more than 4, but it was a bullpen game. Again, all the right buttons were pushed. The Arkansas bullpen came through. They put behind them the Sunday meltdown against Auburn when they had a chance to sweep on the road, and they got some big boy performances. And that big timely hit, again, always seemed to come through for a team that is well more, way more deep, more depth, more well-rounded, more skilled, more experienced. Arkansas is that team. They've only got 3 guys that have started and played in every single game. 3 guys. Okay, that shows you the balance and how many different pieces that they have that they're moving in and out of the order. Those 3 guys are Ben McLaughlin, who plays first, Waheva Aloy, the transfer from Sac State at shortstop, and then Kendall Diggs, primarily your right fielder. Those are your 3 guys that have the only ones that have started every game amongst the position players. I mean, they used, I think, 13 different position players or guys starting in different places on the whole cumulatively throughout the whole weekend. It was a masterful, performance again by DVH and this Arkansas team. And they found a way. They won 4-3 in game 2 that Mason Molina pitched, and then 7-5, these were all within 3 runs.
Huddy White walked it off.
Yeah. Huddy White in game 2, and the gorilla was out in full force. By the way, thank you, Easter Bunny, for bringing your boy a stuffed animal baby gorilla.
No. Oh, that's awesome. Right now,
and it matches my sheets and my bedding. And
listen, I believe I know who gave that to you.
I thought the stuffed animal game was well put to bed in this, 35 years of flesh, this old wrinkly flesh that is podcasting before you today. But no, there has been one and one only stuffed animal item that has been welcomed back into my circle, and that is little baby black silverback gorilla.
I love it. By the way, Fidel Ulloa, his father is from the Mexican state of Nayarit, La Curva, Nayarit, and apparently he left. Have you?
No.
Oh, he left. He left for the U.S. in 2000. Fidel Ulloa Jr. was born in California. That's accurate. 3 years after his father left the Mexican state of Nayarit. So there he has Mexican descent. There's your answer there. But yeah, hell of a weekend for Arkansas. Goodness gracious.
We should finish your thought. I'm sorry.
No, you said everything I wanted to say on the Razorbacks. But listen, I find it hard to believe that LSU is not going to figure this out, right? Because we were so worried last year about LSU when they were the number 1 team in the country, but they were losing and they had injuries and they had all the pitching problems and people weren't hitting right. And Thatcher Hurd was still, off his keister. And we were like, what's going on here? Like, what? This is supposed to be this juggernaut team that's going to train through everybody, and they weren't. And they figured it out and won it all. So for me to doubt Jay Johnson is like what I do every year and, doubt DVH in the postseason because Arkansas's never won it all. So I'm going to stop doing both of those things this year.
Poor Thatcher Hurd. So Thatcher didn't even start a game. He came out of the pen in the Luke Holman
As
game
he should.
in game 2. Holman went 4 1/3, gave up 5 hits, 3 runs, all earned, through 98 pitches. He was in line 4 1/3. I think he was in line for a no decision at that point. Griffin Herring came on and was awesome. Here's the thing. Griffin Herring is their best arm out of the pen, but you can't lean on the guy too much. All right, 4 2. I mean, you gotta protect the dude. You can't just go to him every single time. But he gave you 4 2/3, 3 hits, and no runs across those 4 2/3. Okay, and this was in a tie game, 3-3. They go to the 10th. This was the game that Huddy White walked it off. It's Thatcher Hurd who's out there pitching in the 10th. Man. The dude can't catch a break, man.
No.
So Hurd takes the loss. He goes to 1-4 on the year. Hate to see it.
You feel for him. You do. Should we talk a little WTF before we get into
yes.
Our,
what I was going to say, we should from now on we should brand this as either what the or WTF or just what the heck. What the heck in 3D. So
I actually thought of it as the good, the bad, and the what the fuck.
Okay, I like that. Let's go with it.
That was the name I wanted to throw out. The good, the bad, and the what the fuck.
Okay, so we'll do this. We'll just roll through our Power 10. We don't need to spend a lot of time, and then we'll give dudes hat tips, SDAs, lineup card. We're gone.
Yep. All right. So let's start because there's a couple that we talked about Oklahoma. But let's go back to what happened with the Pac-12 network on Saturday. So UCLA and Arizona are playing. I'll set the scene for you. They're playing on Saturday in Tucson, and it's the 9th inning of the game against Arizona and UCLA, and they go to extra innings because I think UCLA hit a game-tying homer, I want to say, in the top of the 9th. I think that's what happened. And we go to the 10th inning, and all of a sudden somebody tweeted a picture of the announcer booth for the Pac-12 network, and there's nobody in the booth, and the game is going on. And and then suddenly you flip on the feed, which none of us have access to the Pac-12 network, LOL. No one will shortly, sorry. But there's no announcer. There's just ambient noise and the crowd noise and the sound of the bat, but there's no announcer. So there are people wondering what the heck's going on. Where did this announcer go? Is he get caught in the crapper? Like, is he just laying one down? Took it a little too long? Is he stuck in the concession stand line?
I love the theory from the LA Times writer who said that potentially maybe the announcers in the 10th inning went to go get a glizzy. Well, yes. He said hot dog, but glizzy might be.
Yeah. It's a glizzy. Yes, absolutely agree with you. I saw that as well. Fantastic. So the announcer's name is Brian Weber, by the way, just to give context here. And so what happened was, by the way, the game ended in the 12th inning. Arizona hit a walk-off, and you know what? There's no call of it. You just hear the bat, the ambient noise, and the crowd cheering, and there's no call because the announcer, he didn't get caught in the glizzy line. He left the game. And the reason why, Brian Weber tweeted this afterwards. He said, I had to catch my flight to get home for sunrise service for Easter on Sunday. I'm a man of faith. It's a very important holiday of the year to me. I can't miss it. Listen, I understand wanting all respect in the world to honoring your faith. I truly understand and get that you have to be home for that, and that's very important to you. But you got to have somebody on standby, man. Or you got to have another flight possibly that you can be on standby for. Or what? Like, there had to be another option instead of just saying, you know what? I don't have anybody. I got to leave. Like, it's just so unprofessional. Like, you just can't let that happen.
I'm with you 1,000%. When I saw the story and you shared it with me, I had no idea. So thank you for bringing this to my attention because this is something both you and I completely nerd out on and get fully invested and deeply passionate about, and that is broadcast opportunities, the broadcast space, the ups and downs, the talent selection, the rumors, the hot stove, the cold stove, all of the intricacies of calling games and broadcasting and the sports element of this, and radio particularly. But here we are talking about TV and death to the Pac-12 and the Pac-12 network, and it's almost poetic in a way that the Pac-12 network gets a finish like this. Now, there's still going to be a few more Pac-12 network. There's still season remaining, but in its final year of the Pac-12 as we know it, and this network that has been so suspect to begin with and inaccessible in all of the right and wrong reasons. You get a walk-off for Arizona over UCLA on Saturday that is inaccessible in a new kind of way, and that is it's not providing you a call, a TV call. While it was there for the entire game up until those latter couple of innings and into the 10th inning, all of a sudden the announcer decides that it was very Pac-12 of this announcer and of this network for all of a sudden the guy to hightail it to get to the airport to catch a plane. And to your point, yes, look, I'm not here to question your faith. I wish I can be more like you in a lot of ways, honestly. Like, I respect, I commend you for taking your faith as seriously and as important as you do. But my man, don't do the game. Get somebody else. Like, don't even put yourself in that position. If you can't come up with plan B or standby or, another transportation means to make this work for you to get to Easter. And what did we talk about earlier? Look, I was upset I didn't get to go to a couple of an Easter lunch and an Easter dinner. And you know what? Never in my 35 years, or surely my 10 years of doing this, 12, 13, 14 years going back to my undergrad, never has something with my work or broadcasting ever caused me pause, with missing a holiday or a family event, or hell, I've missed my grandfather's funeral for work. Yeah. Now that is a day I'll never get back, and I'll never allow myself to do that before. But like when you're a young kid and you're working a new job and you want to do the right thing and you're afraid to ask this and that, you don't understand, like, hey, look, there are some things that are bigger than work. There are some things that are bigger than sports. Those are lessons you got to learn as you go, as you grow up and move along. And you've seen me take time off to go to certain funerals. You've taken time off to go to weddings, and like, I don't want to miss those things. I've missed enough of those. So like, I'm at a new chapter in my life where like, I embrace the seriousness of things away from, work, which can bog you down and program you and create this two-faced, alternative type lifestyle in a lot of ways. So like, bless this man for at least recognizing, hey, Easter is important. I am not going to renegotiate what is important to me in life. This is a non-negotiable. I'm getting this Easter sunrise service. But my man, if this is so freaking important to you, don't do the game in Tucson or in Los Angeles. Where was it? UCLA?
Tucson. It was in Tucson. Or have somebody on standby saying, hey, if we get to this time in the game, I have to go. Like, I need to leave to catch my flight. I did that this past year. I had to catch a flight because I had to go. Where was I going? Shoot. My grandmother passed away, and I had to get on a plane last minute to go to the funeral. And I was working a West Virginia game, and I had to have somebody on standby. I had Gus Wedekamp on standby to finish the broadcast. I knew we'd be in post game, but I was like, hey, if we get to this time and we're not done, I need you to take over because I got to catch my flight. I have to be at this funeral the next day. I got to go. And it's exactly what happened. We got 8 segments into our 10-segment post game. We hit 5 o'clock. Gus was right there, and I said, hey, I put the guys in break, and I said, hey, I'm handing the headset to Gus. I gave the headset to Gus. I got in the car, went to the plane. No issue, because I had a backup plan. Just have, like, go grab Nick Cope, who's calling the game for UCLA on the radio, and say, hey, brother, finish this game for me on TV. I'm sure he'd be happy to do it.
That's what I'm getting to. Like, don't take an opportunity away from somebody else because of your own. To me, it comes off selfish, where it's like, hey, I've got to do this game, but I'm going to leave y'all high and dry at this point, and you didn't do any of the groundwork or background to prepare or have somebody at the ready. But like, to me, don't even put yourself in that position where you need to have somebody on stand. Just don't do the game. How many aspiring broadcasters are there out, in the Tucson area, or in California or the neighboring state? People like us that are oozing, with antsiness or a purpose to want to fulfill or take those sort of opportunities, that are jonesing for those sort of opportunities. Like, there's got to be guys like that in Arizona who would have done it.
Grab a student. You're literally on the campus of the University of Arizona. There's broadcasting there. There's broadcasters who live in Arizona State. They have one of the best broadcast schools in the country. Call one of them up.
Provide a valuable opportunity to somebody, to the future of this industry, because, they will certainly forever, be indebted to you. And you might you might grow some newfound, relationship or connection or mentorship type thing out of it too. Like, give a guy another chance. Like, bring somebody along. Like, this was a good moment for you, my man, Bruce Weber, to stop thinking about yourself and start
Bruce
thinking
Weber is
about
the
others.
K-State coach, Brian Weber.
Brian Weber, whatever. I had Bruce Weber on my mind because Kevin Harlan inexplicably said that Bill Self was the head coach last time Illinois was in the Elite Eight. It was Bruce Weber, year 2.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
this is the first time I called Harlan get something wrong. But
wow.
But yeah, I'm glad you and I come from the same place on that. So I was disappointed
Absolutely.
to know that this guy left. It was very Pac-12 though, very Pac-12,
incredibly Pac-12.
And this guy's been calling games in the Pac-12 since like 1989 when he graduated. He was a Conference of Champions graduate. Like, I saw him boasting on Twitter about this, how he is a native of the conference and California and this and that. And, it's been 11 years on the Pac-12 network and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, that's great. Like, you should do better. You should be better. So,
yes. You know who else should be better?
All of us.
You know who else should be better? It's St. John's, who Winthrop baseball played over the weekend. They need to be better as well. And I'm pulling this up to make sure I get this exactly right. So Winthrop baseball was at St. John's over the weekend. And, listen, I get it. Going to Queens, it's hard to, that might be a hard trip for Winthrop coming from South Carolina. But you expect to have an SID there, at least with the team, providing pictures, graphics, stats, whatever, the normal stuff that you get from covering a college baseball game as the official SID. Well, Winthrop baseball tweeted this over the weekend. Due to no Wi-Fi or Ethernet cable at Bartosik Field, there will be no live stats for today's game.
Oh my God.
Between St. John's and Winthrop. St. John's will provide scoring updates for the Eagles to Winthrop's SID via text, who will then post the updates to Twitter. And that's how they did the game. Like, what are we doing? It is 2024. How in the hell do you not have working internet at your baseball field?
Nobody had a hotspot. Nobody had a hotspot.
Like, Winthrop got, hung out to dry. Their SID gets there, no Wi-Fi, no Ethernet, nothing. Just dead ballpark. Like, St. John's, what are we doing? That is a horrible look. Horrible. I don't know if this was the whole weekend, but they tweeted this Friday morning. So, like, the start of the series. At 11 a.m., Winthrop tweeted this out saying, yeah, we don't have anything here. We're going to – it was like in the olden days when you had to call games off the phone and, like, somebody at the game would have to call. Like, Al Michaels talks about this all the time where he wouldn't travel to road games at Candlestick Park, and he'd stay at the ballpark, and someone would call in the scores to him, and he would reenact the game that way. It was kind of like that.
Yeah.
Crazy. Absolutely nuts. I saw that, and I was like, we have to bring this up because that is buck wild.
I got nothing, man. I'm glad you brought that to light. That is a nightmare that I hope to never have to live. I've lived some nightmarish type experiences from broadcast standpoint, as have you, but fortunately nothing as nothing of that magnitude. Yeah, that's bad. What's going on at Wake Forest? Nick Kurtz comes back, hits 2 homers in a game. He's hitting balls almost 500 feet. But then they're giving up 14 to the Tar Heels in a 3-game sweep. I told you that meant that North Carolina would be in my Power 10 and Wake Forest would be out. And by golly, Wake Forest is gone. See ya. LSU, see ya. I got UNC coming in at number 10. Parks Harbor had a 3-homer game amongst those 14 home runs on the weekend for the Heels.
UNC's in mine too, by the way.
Yeah. Parks Harbor, Georgia transfer. I don't know why he must not like Wes Johnson. But, yeah, 3 home runs for him. I was part of a 14-home run weekend at the Boombox. And Carolina made quick work of, just ugly for the Deacs this weekend.
Chase Burns got lit up. Most runs he's given up in a start this year. I know he had 14 Ks still. I get it. That's what he does. But like, gave up 6 runs. That's the first time he's given up more than 3 runs in a start all year.
Who's our ACC Pitcher of the Week then? Because it had been renamed the Chase Burns Award.
It had been. I honestly don't know who it is. I didn't even look because I was just like, eh.
Clemson's. Oh no, that's softball. Carry on.
But anyways, yeah. So Wake. You got Nick Kurtz back, and I was like, oh, cool, he's hitting home runs. Oh, wait, North Carolina hit 12 more than Nick Kurtz did this weekend. So tough news for the Deacs. They have not been in my power 10 since last week. They continue to be out of my power 10. What else do we have on the WTF sec? Oh, did you have a gym gripe you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, I did. Harbor did get ACC Player of the Week. He was 8 for 17 on the week in total with 8 hits. And then Miami's Gage Zeal is pitcher of the week. So he struck out in that Thursday night game that Miami walked off on Clemson, the only one they won, which, again, blame the Peep Shakes. My God. Career high 15 strikeouts for Zeal. Season high among ACC pitchers. First pitcher in the ACC to strike out 15 or more since Carolina's Austin Love in 2021.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Man, I haven't heard that name in forever.
Austin Love. Yeah, I figured when we were doing I
think I called a game for Austin Love against Wake Forest in 2021. I think I called a game for him. Yeah. At the Bosch.
Ooh, the Boschimer.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, and what the heck. I did have this. So I went to Planet Fitness yesterday. And got a quick little. This is in the morning. I've been doing more 2-a-days. And so I was splitting. I was at Planet for the morning.
Practice?
Yeah. I was. I'm just getting ready for Hoover. 2-a-days, baby. Getting ready for Hoover. Yeah, I'm doing 2 days, like 3-4 days a week. You know, it's just easier to split it up sometimes because then I'm at the gym like 2.5 hours otherwise. And if I can go there for if I can go there for 45 minutes, 30, 45, get some cardio in, and then come back later, for the last hour and a half, hour 15, whatever, of a lift and another quick little run, split my run. Dude, my legs I can't even move. I mean, my right knee is shot, my shoulders up in here. Like, I can't sleep. That's why I was so glad I was able to get some sleep last night. Like, I've just been beating the shit out of my body. Summer, man, hot boy summer. So you got
my knees are also hurting. I'm going to the orthopedist in 2 hours. To have them look at my knees, to be like, what's wrong with my knees?
Yeah. Anyways, I'm at the gym. Yes, all the best to you and getting your knees checked out, by the way.
I'll be fine.
It's a long
lingering injury that I'm finally getting looked at.
You could have had your wisdom teeth taken out a week ago and be in worse pain today than you've been in this entire time and have an emergency. I'm talking about it. I'll tell you offline.
Okay. I was like, you didn't get your wisdom teeth
out.
What are you talking about? I didn't. I've seen you. I know you didn't do that.
By the way, I may have just farted and it freaking reeks, bro. It reeks. We've podcasted too long. We were way past our pod time.
We are. It's all right.
My body is catching up with me. Okay. Yeah. Here's the gripe. So I'm at Planet, and this would only happen at Planet. Okay. Some gyms are unique to others because of the clientele, the price point. Enough said. Like, if you're somebody who goes to the gym, some things are going to happen at Planet that wouldn't happen at other gyms. So this guy is filling up his water bottle. I get behind him. Line starts to form behind me. This guy's still filling up his water bottle 30 seconds later. Now, the Planet on Peters Creek has very low water pressure.
Yes, it does.
It's not good. However, this guy's got a bucket-sized water bottle that he's got underneath the faucet and is trying to fill that MFer. It actually is identical to the side when you go to the bank and you go to the drive-thru and you get the tube and it sucks it up and it nearly rips your arm off every single time. Like, you got to be careful in those things. But you got the tube. He's got a tube, a bank equivalent tube sized water bottle that he is trying to fill up. And we're there a minute. We're there a minute and a half. And I'm getting in the guy's peripheral each time, every 15 seconds. So this guy could see he's got his headphones in because I'm trying to clear my throat and get his attention. He's just oblivious to everything. Just not courteous, just being a complete asshole. And now there's like 5 people in line. I'm second. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Dude. And so finally I'm like, dude, screw it. So I bolt to the locker room. I fill up my water bottle in the sink. Just, it takes 5 seconds there because the pressure is, it's so like a freaking, it's like a geyser in there. Yeah. And then I go to my locker. Well, what's going on at my locker? This is strike 2 yesterday morning, all happening in a span of 3 minutes. It felt like 5 minutes tops. This guy has got the entire bench covered in front of my locker with his bag, towel, clothes, toiletries, all of that. What happened to
me?
And he's sitting on the next bench in front of another row of lockers, to my left as I'm trying to get to my locker. So he's taking up not only the bench he's sitting on in a row of 3 to 4 lockers, where he could have put all of his stuff next to him there, but he's got all his stuff on the other bench in front of the other row of lockers where I'm trying to get to my stuff. So I'm just like, I literally, because I'm fuming over the water bottle situation at this point, I'm just standing there with my hands on my hips, just staring at his stuff for like 20 seconds. He still doesn't see me. And I'm like, okay, I'm getting nowhere with these stupid people. So I take out my stuff and then I just set my bag on top of his towel.
Let's go.
Because he had his towel wrapped on top of the bench. So I set and he's like, oh, excuse me, let me get that for you. I was like, yeah, that'd be great. And then it takes me 20 seconds because I'm not changing or anything. I'm just getting my bag and I have my headphones and different t-shirt and all that. So I get my stuff and I walk out. So then I walk out, I get in my car. And this happens way more in life than it ever should. And tell me if this grinds your gears as much as it does me. I get in my car, and you know how the parking spots are angled a certain way because you're supposed to go down and up, down and up. You got to follow the lanes of the spots as they're angled. LA Fitness isn't like this. They're all straight, right? And the lanes are wide enough where you could fit 2 freaking cars through the parking lot, like a grocery store, okay? Or like some of them. But anyways, this is an angled lot.
Yes.
So I pull my car out, and I start to exit. Lo and behold, somebody turned in the wrong way and is coming right at me.
People, there's fucking arrows on the ground. Just look at the arrows.
I didn't even know there was arrows. I could just tell by looking at the cars, and I know where to turn in and where not to.
Yes, yeah, that absolutely annoys the shit out of me. Absolutely.
Sometimes there are arrows. So this car is coming right for me. What do? I pull right into the center and head straight for that car at 5 miles per hour and stop right in front of it, throw my hands up, and I'm like, what do we do? And dude, I'm losing my shit at this point. and this lady, she's probably in like her early 30s, late 20s. So this girl, this young idiotic female, is just like, she's like, I'm sorry. Like she realized she did wrong. So I do give her that much. At least she knew her mistake. But there are other people that either won't look at you or will ignore you, don't give a fuck. And I'm like, are you kidding me? So I had to squeeze by her. She had to squeeze around me. There's barely enough room. And I'm still like throwing my hands up, and it's just like, come on, man.
What a hellacious gym experience for you. Goodness.
This is a hat trick at Planet Fitness, all in like a 5-minute span. Try to leave.
Good Lord.
Yeah, hated it. So,
all right, let's go. Let's go to the Power 10. After all that was a lot of what the fuck. Okay, Power 10. I'm just gonna rip through mine. You rip through yours, and we'll move on with our day. Sound good? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Number 1, no fucking surprise. Arkansas. Hagen Smith, amazing. 10Ks again in the opener. Huddy White walked it off. We do have to mention this momentarily. Did you hear Dave Van Horn say that Will McIntyre wrote himself into the lineup card on Saturday? Yes. After pitching on Thursday? Fantastic. Yeah. And then how he shoved on both times. Will McIntyre, like, what a ballsy move. And I love it. And I love that you got to pitch again on Saturday. If you don't know the story, DVH talked about it. It's on Arkansas's Twitter, Razorback Baseball. Find it. It's hilarious because DVH comes in early in the morning and writes in the card, and he didn't put McIntyre on Saturday after coming in on Thursday. McIntyre just writes himself in anyways.
Yeah, and this is the rhythm for McIntyre. Like, he's going to relieve Hagen, which he did on Thursday night, right. And it wasn't his best. It was probably his worst outing of the year on Thursday. Now, Arkansas still got the win 7-4, but Mac went, and I say worst outing of the year in 2 2/3. He still struck out 8, but he gave up 4. He gave up two runs, both earned, and 4 hits. So, relative to his numbers the rest of the year, it was his worst because he gave up a couple of runs and he gave up 4 hits. But he still struck out 8 and 4 2/3 and in 2 2/3. So yeah, he writes himself in, and he comes in and closes the door in a 7-5 game on Saturday, where he went the final inning and a third, struck out 1, walked 1, gave up 1 hit. Yeah, just awesome stuff.
All right, so Arkansas's number 1. Clemson stays at number 2. They took 2 of 3 at Miami. Hurricanes, I know, are like an average team right now, but you won a series on the road to the ACC, so hat tip to Clemson there. Tennessee, for me, jumps up to number 3 in my Power 10, getting a huge series win over the Georgia Bulldogs, especially because Georgia went in and blasted them on Friday 16-2. 16-2. Oh, no.
How the Tennessee comes back. Happen?
I don't know, but they came back and hit 4 homers, 2 grand slams on Saturday, and a 16-11 win. Then Xander Sechrist and Nate Snead blank Georgia on Sunday, 7-0, as Snead closed out both games. Xander Sechrist, 6 scoreless, career high, 7 Ks on Sunday in the win. Texas A&M for me stays at number 4. Perfect week, swept Auburn in College Station. They did give up 24 runs in the series, and their ERA is now up to 3.27. So I'm a little worried about A&M from the pitching perspective, but if they continue to have, Braden Montgomery, Jace Lavalette, and hey, Ted Burton hit a walk-off winner in the 12th inning to complete the sweep. So if A&M is going to get the kind of offensive production they're continuing to get, the pitching can be, not as outstanding as it was to start the year. So they're number 4. Florida stays at 5. They took the series against Mississippi State. Yes, they lost another midweek to Florida State. We knew that was going to happen. Florida, though, they are the cardiac kings of the SEC. All 6 SEC wins for Florida have been come from behind this year. They scored 5 runs between the 8th and the 9th to win 7-6 on a Cade Curlin walk-off single in the opener. And then Cags, after going 5 2/3 on Sunday, hits a walk-off 2-run yaya in the 9th inning to beat Mississippi State on Sunday to give them the win. And then Luke McNeely also hat tip to him with 3 1/3 scoreless, the SEC freshman of the week as well. So Florida stays at number 5. North Carolina, for me, slots in at number 6 in the Power 10. I'm putting them all the way up there. We told you they hit 14 homers over the weekend, 3-game sweep at Wake Forest. They've won 9 in a row. It's the first time the Deacs have been swept at home in ACC play since April of 2011. Been that long since they have been swept in an ACC home series. Number 7, 8, 9, 10 all stayed the same. I'll summarize those quickly. Virginia Tech, 2 of 3 from Pitt. 7 straight series wins for the Hokies. Vanderbilt, 4-0 week, swept Missouri. The pitching was outstanding. Grayson Carter, 8 1/3, 11 Ks. Bryce Cunningham, 7 innings, career-high 12 Ks. Carter Holton, 7 innings, 8 Ks. They blew away the Tigers. Alabama took 2 of 3 from South Carolina. A good rebound for them after getting swept by Georgia. They're at number 9. Number 10, I actually have 2 teams. I have 10A and 10B because I couldn't not put Kentucky in my Power 10, but I couldn't take Duke out. So I have Duke at 10B. They took 2 of 3 from Virginia. And then Kentucky is 10A. They won 12 of their last 13. We talked about what they did to Ole Miss. And then in consideration, Dallas Baptist. Oregon State dropped out of the Power 10 for me this week after losing both games to USC over the weekend.
One more note on that 16-2 game that Tennessee lost to Georgia in Knoxville. How do you like this from a broadcaster perspective? 16-2, 24 total hits, 13 left on base, including 7 for Tennessee, and the game time, 2 hours and 37 minutes.
Oh, my God, that's a godsend.
18 combined runs. Charlie Condon did not homer in that game. He had 2, I think, on Saturday, but he did have 2 doubles. And it was AJ Causey, if you're wondering who put Tennessee behind the 8 ball, who got the start, 2 2/3, 8 runs, 7 earned. He was bad, 7 hits. And then Derek Schaefer, the second arm out of the pen, gave up 5 runs, all earned. So Georgia had a couple of really big innings, 6 runs in the second, 6 in the fourth, or 4 in the sixth, rather. But good on Tennessee and coming back and being able to take that series for sure. Things I will add, my 1 through 10, Arkansas, Clemson, Oregon State. Didn't want to dock them too much for just getting 2 games in at USC. Now, they did lose both, and the second one was troubling. 17-4 was the final there against Trojans.
Not great, Bob.
No, not great. But I still feel like they're a top 3 squad. And when I look at Texas A&M, like, I flip-flop those, but I went with the Aggies at 4 this week. Perfect week, swept Auburn. Brandon Montgomery, 47 RBIs. Braden Montgomery, 47 RBIs to lead the nation. Florida is at 5. Again, the 2-2 week. Love Cags, 13th bomb. Went 5 2/3, I think it was, in the final game. Had 5 strikeouts, 4 walks, I think was the numbers there. But again, good enough. And he had the game winner, man. I love it, man. It just warms my soul so much to see Cags be Cags. Tennessee at 6, Vanderbilt at 7. DBU is my 8 team. Duke winning that war over Virginia Super Regional rematch. That was at the Coombs over the weekend in Durham. And then UNC I got checking in at 10. So, yeah, that would be my Power 10. Should we get some dudes, hat tips?
Yeah, let's hit me with your I know who your dude is because I can see it on the doc, but hit me with it.
Yeah, I'm going to give some Big Ten love to Mitch Voigt. Talking about two-way players and Jack Caglione, Mitch Voigt is not necessarily of that stature, not even close, but the man did pick up a win in the rubber game against Maryland over the weekend for Michigan. And he also provided the eventual go-ahead game-winning 2-run homer. So good on Mitch Voigt. He's also got some good Michael Jackson eyes. He's got a little thriller to him. If you want to type Mitch Voigt in the Google machine, pull up the player page for the Maize and Blue hurler, two-way star, who went 7 innings, 7 hits, 4 runs, 6 strikeouts, 2 walks in the win, and had the go-ahead, the game-winning home run, 2-run shot come in the 6th inning against the Terps. Mitch Voigt in Michigan is my dude.
All right, let me look at Mitch Voigt real quick. Let me get his picture up. He's a sophomore.
Good
yeah.
Dude,
okay,
good
I see it. I see the Michael Jackson in him. Mine is, we're gonna go to a team that we talked about earlier in the day. We're gonna go to the Lopes, Grand Canyon. We're gonna go to Connor Madison, a freshman from Grand Canyon. And look, we talk about how cool it is to throw a no-hitter, but it's even cooler if you're a freshman. And Connor Madison threw one for Grand Canyon against Sac State, a 4-0 win. He goes in all 9 innings, 10 Ks, 2 walks on 125 pitches as a freshman in just his 8th career start. Oh, hi, Hayes. What's going on? In just his 8th career start for Grand Canyon, and he throws the no-no. So Connor Madison is my dude of the week.
The Lopes.
Yes, we love giving Lope love.
The Lopes.
We move on to the hat tips. My hat tip is going to go to the content man for West Virginia, Jake Ryan. I know
this guy.
I do. I met him in Oklahoma. Super nice guy. I could give him a lot of hat tips for just the work that he does because he's really good. Some of the recap videos he puts together are sensational. But I'm going to give him a hat tip because on Sunday in the series finale against Oklahoma State that West Virginia managed to salvage, Jake Ryan is sitting in the front row with his camera filming the game as one does as a video guy. There's a foul ball hit way up over the net in Morgantown. It clangs off the suites, comes back down, and Jake Ryan turns around with one hand and catches it in his hand while still holding the camera and filming the game and catches it clean as day. There's a video of it. Steven Schock retweeted it. At Big Donkey 47, or you can go to at Jake Ryan 6758. He also tweeted his own video. But hat tip to Jake Ryan for the very casual catch of a foul ball, because that is really hard to do, especially when you're holding a very expensive camera in the other hand and pointing it at home plate. He did it so effortlessly, and then he threw it to a fan. So hat tip to Jake Ryan.
And that was on the ricochet coming back, right?
Yes, on the ricochet coming back. So even harder.
Yeah, even harder. More impressive because, like, he's not tracking that ball the entire time. Like, he's looking at the field of play. He's looking out across home plate as he's sitting behind there. So he's not seeing where it's bouncing or as it goes over his head, because you can see there's some sort of a delayed reaction. And then he turns, looks behind him, and then all of a sudden is able to find the baseball coming towards him and catch it in the fashion he did. Yeah, that was extraordinary. That was awesome. I know you're going back to the well with West Virginia with an SDA. First, though, my hat tip, the Pac-12 again for what we talked already about with the TV fiasco from Bruce Weber.
Brian.
I know. I had to look down to remember. I just want to say Bruce again.
Okay.
I'm going to give Bruce his cred, man. Come on. Brian Weber leaving. So that was great. But real talk, Washington State, ace, Grant Taylor, 17 strikeouts. Dude absolutely shoved on Thursday night. Second most nationally this year, those 17 Ks, the most at Wazoo in program history. Pac-12 pitcher of the week in a 4-0 win over rival Washington. First shutout over Washington since 95. First shutout in Seattle since 1989. And again, 17 strikeouts at one point, struck out 10 in a row. And you want to type this guy in and get a look at him. He's getting a degree in construction management. Amazing beard. I wish my beard could look like his. It is flawless. It is perfectly well scaped and manicured. It is full. It is dark. It is primo beard. And if my beard could look like his, I need a barber. And they're expensive. Again, I got to spend $5 on fruit. You expect me to go see a barber for my beard? Like, come on.
Like $55? Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, no thanks. So, I'm trying to keep mine even and go through and trim and get the curls out. And right now, you can tell it's a little curly, and that's why I just can't wait to settle back in the mustache life, because it's much more easier to tame. But yeah, Grant Taylor's beard is stoic for sure. So good on him. Yeah. Certainly a hat tip to his performance, but more importantly, his facial ensemble.
Absolutely. Completely agree on both fronts, quite literally. And all right, let's go to SDAs. So I've got two, actually. One, we do go back to the West Virginia well. So I believe it was on Saturday. Kyle West, one of the newcomers for West Virginia, that's been hitting the ball extremely hard, but has had incredibly bad luck of hitting the ball right at fielders. Like, it happened all in through Norman. It happened in Akron until he actually hit a good one that actually was I think it was the decider against the Zips last Tuesday for West Virginia. His dad was at the ballpark on Saturday, and he was getting interviewed by the ESPN Plus folks, the Big 12 Now folks. And as his dad was getting interviewed, Kyle West was at the plate, and he homered. So awesome stuff there. And SDA, because it was tweeted out on social media for that. The other SDA is, did you see, actually, you definitely saw this because I sent these to you, the Warhawk jerseys for Louisiana Monroe. Holy smokes. Those things are clean. So SDA for that, because those are super nice, and I think those should become their everyday jerseys.
Yeah, those are good. Those are really good. I enjoyed those. Love a good uniform game. Love a good cleat game. And Mason Molina, that would be my SDA. What he donned on his feet in game 2 on Friday, when he went 5 innings, picked up the no decision against LSU, but the Slobbering Hog right there on those Nike. I think they were more like Jordan 1s, and then cutting the baseball cleats with Slobbering Hog on the left side, the black, the white, the red. It's just, I guarantee you he sees the same shoe guy as Eric Musselman, the men's basketball coach, because there is a guy that does Muss's shoes, and he wears a different custom pair like every time out. He's right there in town, or at least in the area in Fayetteville, so I'm sure that's who hooked up Mason Molina. Mason Molina is so beloved in that dugout. I asked, transfer from Texas Tech, again, could be a Friday night ace. He was the number 3 guy, got moved into the day 2 role this week, which I said on this podcast a week ago, Kahn, that I suspected that Brady Tiger was going to get moved back a day and Molina was going to move into that game 2 role. I didn't think it would happen this weekend, but as we were podcasting a week ago, Dave Van Horn revealed that in his media availability ahead of the LSU series, saying Molina would get bumped up a day. So I expect that's how they're gonna run it every week from here on out, as long as the results are as they expect. But yeah, Molina is a guy who he loves the golf. He's humble. I think he is the best golfer on the team. He says he's maybe second best, but big golfing guy. He's got a lot of clubs in his back, on the mound as well. But he's got a lot of energy. He's beloved, really all these newcomers, but on this Arkansas team, they've got great chemistry. But Molina is a character, and the guys really, they really embrace what he's brought culturally, as you can see with his shoe game. But certainly the energy and production on the field as well. And then Tarleton State's Grant Garza. I saw this when Big Donkey, Stephen Chalk, posted it initially. You shared it with me as well, as you slid my DMs as eloquently as you always do. I love it. You just tickle me in all the right places. Grant Garza's pen entrance. Now, he's not a starter. He's not a starter.
So good.
He's not a starter for Tarleton State. So as he's warming in the pen, he's come out of the pen 11 times already this year. So expect at least 20 more appearances out of this guy between now and the end of the season.
Yeah.
And every time as he throws his last pitch, he's going to turn, he's going to catch an energy drink, he's going to chug it, he's going to slam it against his head, and then for a little slight crush, and then spike it across the bullpen wall before he enters the field. It is amazing. He's got long, sweet lettuce hair as well to go along with it. It's just so it's so brilliant. And it's a badass bullpen entrance. Certainly the best I have seen for a college pitcher, any pitcher. For us to catch that on tape, for him to turn, throw, catch, chug, crush, and spike. So what is that? Catch, chug, crush, and spike. Catch, chug, crush, and spike. Mr. Grant Garza, baby, 6-0 in 11 appearances out of the Tarleton State pen.
We're going to do our best imitation of that in Hoover.
Yes, we are.
Yes,
we are.
So just putting that out there right now. All right, let's wrap this baby up.
I will do that in the booth.
I will throw it to you. I will toss it to you.
Yeah.
All right, let's wrap it up. Lineup card real quick. Tonight, East Carolina at NC State, Louisville at Kentucky. 2 big ones to watch. Kentucky surging, as is ECU. Weekend series, a lot of SEC to talk about. A couple Thursday through Saturday games. Vandy at LSU, we already mentioned. Big series for the Tigers. They need to win this series at home. Virginia trying to recover against a UNC team that's red hot and is perfect at home, 20-0. Alabama at Kentucky. Wake has a huge series. They go to Blacksburg. Virginia Tech, as we've mentioned, has won 4 straight ACC series, 7 overall. Dallas Baptist heads to the Hill to battle Western Kentucky. Texas A&M at South Carolina, Oregon State and Arizona State. And then I mentioned West Virginia at Kansas solely because you know who's back this weekend? JJ Weatherholt.
I'm glad that found its way into the pod because I was going to ask how my preseason Golden Spikes Award winner was doing.
He's back. He is
He's
officially
back, baby.
back on Friday, and they canceled this week's game that was supposed to be for tonight. So JJ has a few more days to rest up. We are ready for JJ to return. Let's go.
My series to watch for comes in the Big West. UC Santa Barbara playing at UC Irvine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the Gauchos scuffled a little bit a week ago. They picked up a series win this past weekend though, so trying to get things back on the right track. They're 15-8 overall in the Big West. They are 4-2. So third weekend of Big West play. UC Irvine is the leader in the clubhouse in the league standings at 8-1. They're 22-3 overall. And what is it this week? 18th in the D1 baseball rankings.
UC Irvine?
16th.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
For Irvine. So, and they'll be hosting the Gauchos of UC Santa Barbara. So that is one series I am particularly interested in. That's all I got, man. That was a podcast. Did you see the White Sox? Did you see the White Sox didn't have a third base coach coming out of a rain delay against the Braves yesterday?
No.
They delayed the
Why?
game even more, trying to find a coach to come out into the first base coaching box. So it makes me wonder, like, could we podcast without you or I? Could one of us do this? I could not. You know, you are like the first base coach to this equation. So, or I am. You know, I would have to wait on you. So, thank you. Thank you for always being on time. You're always on time. It's like an Ashanti and Ja Rule song. Gets me all hot and bothered. Love it.
I'm just bothered because I've had to pee for the last 20 minutes. So let's go.
I've got to go to the bathroom too, but it ain't pee.
I know. You told us you farted about half an hour ago.
All right. At SportsCon4, at Kyle Schass. We'll talk to you next week. Bye.